Students always ask me, why am I not scoring well despite my efforts, right? The answer is simple. We need to understand the CAT learning curve, right? So how does a CAT learning curve look? It's something like this. It's not exactly for those of you who feel that, you're really good or you've done really well and you're able to compress this bit, right? This is for a normal average student. I would say 8 months is a good preparation time for an average student, right? So those of you who feel you're below average, it might be longer than 8 months. For those of you who you feel are above average, it might be shorter. It could be 3 months, it could be 2 months. But the graph is pretty much going to be like this, right? The initial phase is going to be a little flat. Like for example, if you take an 8-month period, the first 3 months looks a little flat and then there's a steep growth. Now, why does this happen? We need to first understand the CAT syllabus for this, right? So what's in the CAT, right? So I think that is something which all of you would be knowing, right? The first section in the exam is VARC. It's verbal ability and reading comprehension. Very similar to English is what people will say, which we've had in school as a subject. But there's a catch. There's no prose, no grammar, no poetry, no vocabulary, right? So you don't get asked on those. However, you're going to have inferential RC questions. But what kind of RC questions or reading comprehension questions? First of all, the passage is going to be quite difficult, right? It's going to be from sources which are not from Indian writers typically, right? So foreign authors. And second, you're going to be asked inferential questions, not direct questions like which of these is mentioned in the second paragraph. No, you're going to ask questions like which of the following, if true, will invalidate the author's assumption about inadequacy, for which we need to understand the entire passage. And we made a dedicated section for that called POV at Mockat, right? Do make use of that under the daily section, daily POV, right? So coming to the next section, data interpretation, logical reasoning. Now, in this exam for CAT, they have given us the calculator, right? So it's going to be very logic heavy. This is one section which is common for all students, right? Be it from an engineering background or commerce or arts. We have never done this in school or college, at least at this level of difficulty. Next up, quant, right? So this, I think all of you would be saying, hey, I've had this maths, right? All these chapters over here, time and speed, time and work, or percentages, and interest and growth, or basic algebra. We have done this in school, right? But there's a catch. In this exam, they're not asking for the steps, right? They don't want to, you're not going to get step marks. You just need to get the final answer, and you have negative marks if they are MCQ. So you can't use the school approaches. You're just going to be very slow. You've got to be quick, you've got to be smart in picking the right questions, and you have to keep moving. So you need to understand it conceptually, right? So therefore, a CAT learning curve over here is going to be one where it does take time initially. First 3 months, a lot of you will feel it's not translating to marks, right? I'm putting in the efforts, but I'm not getting the marks. That's because your first 3 months is not done. Look at it this way. Look at it like a building which is being constructed. The first 2-3 months, there's not going to be much growth above the ground level, right? It's going to be more of excavating and getting the foundation right. That's what happens in the first 2-3 months. And then there's going to be a steep growth only if you persist, right? A lot of you, I've seen, you tend to give up, right? So that you shouldn't do. And as long as you persist over here, you're going to face that growth, right? So that's the way you crack this exam, right? So a few things which you should do to conquer this exam is one, to set your goals right, right? Target the colleges, right, which you want to get into, the top ones and all of that. Understand how much you need to score. Have a broad plan, but make sure that the plan is also flexible. You got to work smartly, right? Hard work, yes, but not at 8 hours a day non-stop, right? Short bursts, an hour, you work on a case and then you take a break. And then once again, let's do a few questions, a reading comprehension passage, take a break again, right? You got to be smart about this and set realistic targets, right? Don't set an insane target for your first mock test, for instance. Your first mock test, your target can just be a few marks. And then incrementally grow upon that. Have another 3 marks as a target for the next test, another 3 marks for the next test, and so on. If you take 25 marks, your growth is going to be at least 75 marks, and that's about 95 percentile in most of the exams, right? So set realistic targets. You'll feel happy about it, right, when you crack these. And do get the access to the right videos, I would say. A lot of you keep asking me, hey, what's the best textbook over here, right? So the concepts can be explained to you better in the form of videos. Make sure you get access to the right material. But in terms of concepts, it should be the videos more than the text, right? No step marks over here. How do I explain to you in a textbook format without using steps, right? And the mock tests are also important. The closer they are to the actual cat, the better they're going to be, right? Lastly, guided preparation. And in case you're interested in that, do sign up at mockat.com and don't miss out on it.